Hello friends, it's Simone. I've been overthinking all the things recently, and so I decided to film a video where I would put those thoughts into more cohesive sentences. Possibly, maybe, one can hope, and share my thoughts with you, and then put them down into my notebook as well so that I get all of those scrambly, rambly thoughts out of my head. Okay, so in the beginning of the year, 2024, I put some inky goals down. One of them, number 5, was buy things only when set a date and no FOMO purchases. Well, that totally did not work out. I did not, the reason why I wanted to do this is to contain my purchases, not get too many pens in, explore the pens that I have. But what I did instead, I sold pens that didn't suit me well anymore and used those funds to buy other pens. So that was a thing that half worked, half didn't. Didn't touch the original funds that I'm accumulating through YouTube, ad revenue, and possibly Atlas Stationer's affiliate credit. But I still accumulated quite a few of pens. So in May, I decided, you know what? You really have to stop buying stuff. The sound that you hear in the background is my cat playing with paper. In May, I decided, you know what? What if I put a stricter no buy on myself and not allow myself to purchase pens, but to allocate the funds that I am saving to specific uses so that it's not floating around here and available for me, but to be tied to a purchasing goal. And the goal here is to fund my trip to the San Francisco Pen Show with that budget, as well as a new Apple Watch and a battery replacement for my iPhone. So now the funds are tied to certain goals. But my brain is still rotating and wanting to buy all the things. So let me talk you through some of the discoveries that I made during my 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 letters challenge, as well as some of the findings that I have made during my Summer of Bottles project. That has not ended yet, but the next video in that project series will be out in July. There will be a break for a little bit. I am taking a vacation from YouTube, and this is one of the videos that's coming out during that time. So I have found some pens. When I use them, they make me happy. I'm really excited about them. I love using them. One of them, and when I wrote my snippet for that during, I think, 1.5 weeks ago, I actually wrote, "This pen feels like home." This is the Pilot Custom 823. So it doesn't just make me happy and excited to use it. This feels like this pen belongs to me. It's home. Gives me the feeling that I have arrived at my destination. So I'm in a pen buying moratorium. I'm trying to reframe my mindset to focus on the pens that I have in my pen cases right now. What do these pens need to make me really happy? Does the nib to be tuned? Do I need to find the perfect ink for it so that I have a great experience? Why doesn't this pen make me happy? Or analyze, why does this pen make me happy? What about this pen makes me feel excited to use it? And if it doesn't need to be tuned, if it doesn't need to be, found the perfect ink or a better paper or something, maybe does it need a specific grind? Will that make it more exciting to me? Or ultimately, maybe I need to sell it because it just doesn't evoke that happy, excited, homey feeling that I experience with some of my pens. So this is where I'm at right now. I'm still filling cards in various different places around the internet, which is kind of frustrating. I think I have an explanation for that. As I said, I'm going to take some time off from YouTube and penning and being all in the inks and the pens because I'm getting visitors. We are getting visitors and we are actually going away together. And that makes me really anxious. And I think some of that anxiety is falsely placed on overthinking these pens, which I think is a good thing for me to understand where the overthinking and the constant wanting to buy feeling comes from. It doesn't help me because I'm still thinking about it all the time. So I think I want to show you my pens and inks wish list from February of 2024. That was this one. There is a video for this list. I talked about this in a video that I will link. And I'm going to talk you quickly through what has changed so far. I did purchase a pen out of FOMO, which was, I talked about this in my wish list video, the Imperial, not the Stealth, Imperial Black. They had an amazing price. It actually went even lower on Amazon after I purchased it, but they had an amazing price for this pen. And I have to tell you that it made me totally fall in love with Sailors. And I have purchased not one, but 3 more pens after the purchase of this pen. This specific pen is just awesome because it's that matte finish. And I love the feeling of this nib on paper. I love how smoothly it glides. It feels really nice in my hand. I love it. And so when I saw this offered up on the virtual pen show, which is one of those pens that was released right when I got into fountain pens again in 2020, I believe. I really loved it from the beginning. I loved the jalapeno habanero finial here and the orange color of the pen. And when it came up on the virtual pen show, I jumped on it and purchased it. It does have a music nib, and I will be talking about this nib later on. But then I saw this one on Brittany's Carrots and Olives YouTube channel, which is another Pro Gear, but it is branded under the Nagasawa stationery store, I believe, in Japan. This is the Gierske. It has a broad nib, and it is just lovely. I am in love with this finial. I'm really smitten and enamored by Sailors right now, especially the Sailor Pro Gear model. And then I saw this one. I kept going back on Amazon because of the currency, the current exchange rate. It's so cheap to purchase pens in Japan. So this one was on Amazon for 80 bucks. This is a Sailor Pro Gear Mini Slim Mini. And I told you I never really wanted to buy more Pro Gear Slims. But this one is just so cute. It is a medium fine nib. I have it inked with Lamy Pink Cliff, which is a dark blue ink. And I keep reaching for this all the time. It makes me so happy to write with this pen. That's what I want. I want to be happy when I reach for a pen. So I guess the Yoseka Origin Pro Gear is just off my list. And I don't really want any other pens. Well, I do want other Pro Gears or Sailors because I do have such a great experience with those pens. I put down the Waterman Koren and the Lamy Dialogue CC. I since purchased gold nibs from Lamy to put on my Lamy Safaris. And that is also one of those experiences. For instance, I have currently the medium gold nib on the Lamy Safari Violet Blackberry. Man, those gold nibs are so amazing. I don't need the CC, the Lamy Dialogue CC. I have those gold nibs on much cheaper pens and they perform amazingly well. I love those. And wow, another one of those. I wanted to wait for this, but I was gifted a pen, a Lamy Studio with an extra fine gold nib. I have since sold the Studio and kept the nib. But oh my gosh, that nib, the writing experience with this nib was so good that I then went and purchased all the nib sizes for those. Oh, so good. So I am getting closer to getting where I want to be, happy with all of my experiences. I have had here, I said Leonardo pens. I love seeing what Leonardo does, but I have no desire to own a Leonardo pen. That might change in the future. That's okay, but not really something that I'm currently going for. I do have a vintage Omas on my list. I think this is not going to be staying on my list because I purchased the Scribo Feel in Mosto with a medium 18 karat gold nib. No flex, just regular medium nib for my birthday. And the writing experience with this pen is just not as exciting, as fulfilling as with some of the other pens that I have in my stash. So I am actually selling this. So if you are interested, please reach out. I do have a sales post on my community page. If I'm open to offers, so just reach out if you're interested and we might find a good deal for you or for me, who knows. I would love to write with one and see if the writing experience is totally different, but it's not something that is on my list anymore. I did, however, then after I had purchased so many pens that I said I didn't want to buy, I was on a pen moratorium, Little Pen Designs came out with the pen that I have been lusting after since November. And I reached out and I asked how the custom process would work. And then I decided, you know what, you have spent so much money already and purchased so many pens you didn't want to buy on regular pens. I'm saying regular pens, the pens that you can buy off the shelf. So now you're hesitating about this pen that you have been wanting since November, this is not going to break the bank. I'm talking about breaking the bank in the sense of I am having already saved up the budget for this pen. I just was going to wait a little longer. And so I decided, no, I am not going to do that. Because why does the custom pen maker suffer because I have to go through so many steps before I say, yes, please make that pen. So I decided, no, I'm not going to wait. I am going to purchase that pen. And that was the very last pen that I purchased right at the beginning of May. Oh no, that's not true. See, this is the thing. Why am I in a pen buying moratorium when I'm buying pens? I did purchase this Lamy Safari Pina Colada from Van Ness just recently, but this is going to stay in my collection for maybe another week or so, and then I'm going to pass it along to my nephew if he likes it. And my niece is going to start writing with a fountain pen in the next school year. And so if this pen, the Violet Blackberry, fits her, I will gift that to her so they both can go home with some awesome Lamy Safaris. And I will probably just repurchase this Violet Blackberry. I don't think I will repurchase that Pina Colada. I like it a lot, but it's one of those pens that I needed to touch and see, and I'm very happy that the gifting opportunity is coming along. So that's, I don't know, it's just a wish list video. I'm just going to talk you through all of the things, and then we'll see what I'll title this video. In February, I also talked about wanting to try the Franklin Christoph SIG, stands for Stub Italic Gradient broad nib, and my friend Lorelei reached out and said she had one and I could have it. So we traded some awesome ink samples for this nib, and now I have this in my possession, which is awesome. I love this. This is not going anywhere. I talked about the Lamy gold nibs. I actually purchased them. This is one of those, what does this pen need to be perfect? I would like to transform this from a fun pen into a functional pen. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. And I want to have a reverse architect nib ground on this broad nib. I hope there is something like a smooth architect. That would be probably the perfect architect nib for me. So I'm going to take this to the San Francisco Pen Show and have it ground. Now, during my 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 letters challenge, I also included pens that I have since taken out of my rotation. After that, I realized there are some pens in my collection that I'm just not excited about using. And those have a specific place. I think they are more functional pens. Maybe if I'm doing watercolor, sketching, I might ink them up with permanent inks. They're not super expensive so that it would make sense to sell them. And there's always the thought in the background that tells me I might really need to use them for a certain specific other purposes than the colorful inking and letter writing, that it makes sense to keep them. And I'm going to show them to you right now. I have divided my pen collection into two different batches, basically. I have fun pens. I'm currently at a number of 29 fun pens. And I have functional pens. There are two functional pens that are currently in use, which are these two. This is my TWSBI Mini with a reverse architect nib. It is inked with platinum carbon black, and I use it all the time for addressing envelopes, for journaling in my weekly journal where I have a lot of color and tip-ins. I don't use my colored pens much in that weekly journal. And then this is my Platinum 3776 Century with an extra fine nib, also inked with platinum carbon black, that I use in my planner and also in my weekly journal. And then these are the functional pens that are not inked, but that are here for various different purposes. This TWSBI Eco, for instance, is here mainly to share as size comparisons in new pen day videos. And these Pilot Kakunos are here for art purposes if and when I will be venturing out into the RT endeavors again. Currently not doing that, but I can see them being super, super useful for those purposes. And they're, I think, repurchasing them at a point when I'm delving into the art stuff more is more expensive than just keeping them here. But I took them out of my fun pen rotation because when I use them in 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 letters, they did not evoke any kind of happiness for me. They just were meh. And I decided, you know, you're doing this to have a lot of fun, to enjoy the writing experience, to just enjoy the whole thing, the pen, the ink flowing out of the pen, that I don't have to use these pens if they don't bring me that kind of joy in my fun penning, you know? So I have 4 pens that I'm saving for specific functional purposes. I have 2 pens that I'm using all the time in functional ways. And then I'm having all of the other 29 pens that I'm using for letter writing, all the fun stuff that I did here in May and I'm doing currently in June. And that feels really good. It doesn't reduce the number, but it keeps those functional pens out of the fun pen rotation when I'm picking a pen to ink with an awesome ink color. So let's talk about custom nibs and specialty nib grinds. That's something that is always talked about as something that is the next level. You have tried the beginner pens, you have ventured into the gold nibs, and now as a next step, you should try specialty grinds. Yeah, you should, you could, but there's also nothing wrong with noticing that, yes, they have a right to exist. Some of them are fun, but that's not something that is going to make my fountain pen experience much better. I really like, personally, me, this person sitting right here, I really love plain old round tip nibs, and there's nothing wrong with that. I really like writing. I don't with them. They are okay with a small rotation to the pen. I don't have to concentrate hard to have a cohesive, even penmanship. With all of or most of the specialty nib grinds that I have tried so far, when I use them, I need to be more conscious about how I'm holding the pen. I need to write a little bit slower, and I need to just be there. And that's not something that I want to do all the time. I have identified some of the pens that I really love, some of the specialty grinds that I really love. That's why I'm upgrading my reverse architect nib to a platinum 3776 century, because I love that nib grind so much, and I think it will be enhanced in that pen. I have identified that I really like the journaler. I like the Techo. Maybe I love the journaler a bit more than the Techo nib. I love the broad and medium sig nibs from Franklin Christoph. I really enjoy the Monarch nib since I took it out of the Schoen Design Ultim fountain pen. And I also have one more specialty nib that I recently received as a gift from my friend Shauna, which is a Zoom nib. And all of those nibs are specialty grinds on Jowo number 6 nibs, and they fit into all of those pens right here. I just said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 specialty nibs. I also really love Pilot Parallel nibs, and I like they fit awesomely on the Opus 88 Omar as well as the Opus 88 demonstrators. I'm currently trying to talk myself out of getting another Opus 88, because how realistic is it that I ink up more than just one Pilot Parallel? Well, if you're listening to the Gourmet Pens podcast, then you cannot have enough Pilot Parallels in Opus 88 pens inked. Maybe I'm getting there. I'm really currently eyeballing another Opus 88. I hope to hold out on that for a little bit longer. We'll see. But what I have found is that I really would like to have a one home for each of my specialty nibs. I don't enjoy swapping around nibs, even though it's super easy. There are people that thrive by swapping nibs. Because I'm not matching pens and inks, or that's not something that I'm super focused on, I can just keep each of my specialty nib grinds that I like on one of the pens that fit them, so that when I want to use that, I don't have to, I just know this pen, the Esterbrook SD in Scarlet, is the pen that houses the Franklin Christoph broad sig nib. And then I pull that and I use it. So I'm trying to figure out, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pens. I have 5 specialty nibs, 1, possibly 6, the Zoom nib. So I'm not so sure. I'm thinking this would be an opportunity to add one more Jowo housing in a possibly custom pen that I could add so that it houses all of them. This one is permanently housing the actual nib that it came with. The nib on this pen is just super fantastic. I don't want to put any other nib on this pen but this. The Walltown Watts here is housing my Monarch nib. It works really well. You can see there's ink. This is a pen that I'm going to clean later on. But this pairing is amazing, so I'm just going to keep that nib here. I'm currently trying the journaler nib on the custom little pen designs. I don't know how well the cap seals. So this is something that I'm experimenting with. I do have one specific pen nib, the San Francisco Pen Show broad nib. I had this on the Gravitas pocket pen recently, and that is also a really great combination. I had recently used the Franklin Christoph medium Signib on here, so I'm still trying to figure out what the best combination is with all of those, but this is something where I see it feels like this could be a good opportunity to add one more pen to this Jowo holder collection without it becoming extremely, overabundant. I don't mind having more pens, but I also need to find the balance between feeling comfortable with the amount of pens that I have and, like that balance. Having more pens that I technically need. I need only one pen to write. I can only write with one pen at a time. And getting pens in the dozens. There is nothing wrong with having a small or a big collection, but that's just something that I am trying to navigate for myself. A pen that has been put onto my radar for a long time now, multiple times by my friend Shauna from Serial Nana. She is on YouTube as well. She says that the Bone Crusher 7 Studio Velma model is her favorite custom pen. It's just perfect. It feels most comfortable. I feel like that about this Walltown Watts. So I'm trying to figure out if I have a friend who is going to the San Francisco who has one, so I can actually touch and feel it. Or I might possibly buy one of Joe's pens in the future. That's not something that is currently on my mind. I recently made a list. I'm going to talk about that in the next segment. Pens that I want to buy and pens that I want to try, not necessarily buy. And I need to really make sure that I don't accidentally buy a pen that I want to try. I think that was one of those things that I should have done with the Scribo Feel, is put it on the list for the pens to try instead of for the pens to buy. So I see some growing possibilities in the realm of custom pens to house more of my specialty nibs. The regular round-tipped pens, I like the Jowo nibs just fine, and they are okay. But I have found that I really prefer, over those Jowo nibs, I really prefer the Schmidt nibs that come in the Bennu Euphorias. This is my model of preference. They also are on the Bennu Talisman. I really like those. I have a broad, 2 fines, and a medium nib. And in theory, 3 should be enough, fine, medium, broad, right? But I have recently seen the Bennu Matcha Latte, and that is definitely on my mind. I'm trying to figure out if, luckily it is currently sold out again. It was restocked briefly, and now the medium nib that I would want is sold out again. So my finger can't accidentally slip when I rummage through the Goulet Pens website. But that would be a pen that I would really love. I am currently thinking if I would want to add a 4th Bennu Euphoria. Is this too much? Do I just love this pen so much that I don't care? I was shortly considering selling one of these 3, but I looked at each one of them and they're just, I cannot let go of them. Even this one, which is in my opinion, a little bit underrated and flies under the radar. Yeah, this is a pen that I don't want to sell this pen. It's too pretty for me to just let it go. Same with this one. I pulled it out. I'm like, okay, well then I'll just sell the Gold Coast. No, I'm just not. I really enjoy the Bennu Euphoria, and this might just be a case of I need to add that pen to my collection. But then they came out with the rose tea, and then am I going to start a big collection of Bennu Euphorias? So that's the thought process on the Bennu Euphorias. And then I have a very pressing issue, and this is probably one of those things that I am just going to go ahead and attempt, because it's also one of those tinkering things that I sometimes shy away from pulling nibs, but then I'm like, if she can do it, I can do it too. My dilemma with this specific music nib that I talked about earlier is not that it is a music nib. I think I probably wouldn't use this all the time, but occasionally, similar to the Pilot Parallel in the Opus 88. Yeah, I said earlier, I'm eyeing an Opus 88 Omar, and it's just so pretty. And I'm on the, do I want to follow Aziza from Gourmet Pens footsteps and just, have various different Pilot Parallels inked? I believe they do really well being inked for a long time in these without having problems with hard starts. This would be one of those where I would maybe write titles in a letter if I want to maybe share a quote or something, or put a quote into my journal. This would be maybe a shimmer ink in here. This would be one of those nibs. But I really am super sad about the fact that it is housed in this beautiful pen body. And so what I'm thinking right now is to take the opportunity and purchase a cheap, about $125 with tax, black, the cheapest Sailor Pro Gear that is available on Amazon Japan, and swap the nibs. Yep, I have seen videos where it showed that these nibs and feet can be pulled. It seems to be a little bit more difficult than, for instance, pulling the feed and nib on a Pilot Kakuno or a Twisby Eco, but it seems to be doable. And that's my short-term plan for the summer. If and when I do this, I'm definitely not going to wait until the San Francisco Pen Show, because I can't get that pen any cheaper than on Amazon Japan. So I might just go ahead. I will film a video and you can see me fail or succeed with this. But I think I would totally, especially because I feel so at home with this pen, I might benefit and enjoy the pen body of this pen more with a more standard nib. And then I can have that plain old black Sailor Pro Gear for the occasions when I want to use the music nib. I think that is a really good plan. I don't want to get this nib ground because I think it's just so much fun, but it's not an everyday kind of fun, And so I just want to zoom in and show you the tipping on this nib because, oh my goodness, can you see the the glob of tipping that is on there. So cool. So, friends, I turned off the camera when I zoomed out again. What the heck? I think that moving this pen, this nib over to a less exciting pen body will make me much happier with this pen body. This is exactly what I mean by saying, how can I make this pen make me feel excited about using it? This might just be a weird thing that I have, but I feel guilty when I don't use this pen a lot because I just like it so much. And being the regular plain old round tip girl, I will be so much more in love with this pen if I have a round tip nib on here. And I'm not sure what exactly I said, but I'm just going ahead and going to purchase that in July. And then hopefully filming along when I swap this so you can see if it is as easy as I think or if it is not. And then in the back of my journal, I do have several lists. This is I can let go of all of the samples that I own by sorting them into lists of yay. This is a bottle contender. If I were to buy a bottle of this, I would have to try this ink again. And now I'm good. I don't need to purchase a bottle of this, or possibly let me give away this ink. I still need to continue this list and update it, but that's what this list is. Then I have a list where from this yay, I am moving those inks over that I really definitely want to purchase a bottle of. Maybe this year, maybe next year, not 100% sure. And then I also made lists for pens I want to try and pens I want to buy, so that I can be, when I'm obsessing over things, I can say, let me just put them on the list so I don't forget, and I can let go of that thought because it's written down somewhere. Same with this one. This one I should curate more because there's actually 2 pens on this list that I'm not sure I would want to buy right now. So let's talk about these 5 pens. I don't think I have currently any other. Well, I do from that list back here. But let's start here and then add as we go. The Waterman Karen. I am not sure that this pen would be one for me. It's quite thin. I can't really picture the pen size in my head. And so I think it's safer, and especially because I know that I'm going to meet some people at the San Francisco Pen Show who own this pen, to wait and try theirs and see how it feels before I am going to commit to buy. This is especially helpful because of my failed experiment with the Scribo feel. I really want to be, not risk anything, especially with a pen that is priced in that price range as the Scribo feel. This failure just feels bigger, The Waterman Karen isn't as expensive as a Scribo feel, but it definitely, if I have the opportunity to try it, I should just do it. I have heard so many good things about the Santini pens and especially the Libra model. I do think that the Libra model is a piston filler, so I would need to figure out if they have cartridge converter fill pens, because I do definitely prefer those over piston fillers. But that is something that I would love to try as well. And then I also really like the look of the Aurora pens. And that's something that I would love to try. I'm still looking for that perfect functional pen that I can put pilot platinum carbon black in, and that is ready at the go. I would love to try a Pilot Vanishing Point in extra fine. This might definitely, even if I end up liking the nib and if I end up purchasing this at some point, this might end up being a failure because possibly the platinum carbon black would dry out. But that's something that I'm considering right now, trying. And luckily, Pilot usually brings their whole lineup and they will gladly dip all of the pens in ink for you to try. So that's something that I'm definitely wanting to try. And then I also put the Bone Crusher 7 Studio Velma model on here. I need to figure out if any of the people going to the San Francisco Pen Show have that so I can hold it and compare it. Because if that is not comfortable, I would probably go ahead and get another Walltown Watts. I really love the way that, just if I'm comparing the two, I don't have many custom pens. The reason for that is because I don't necessarily like swirly resins, and most pen makers tend to make swirly resin pens, so I'm really limited with purchasing from custom pen makers. I did see that Russ Pens, if you haven't watched Sarah from Ginger Peachy Pens video, she also talks very highly of the Bone Crusher 7 Studios Velma model. If you haven't seen her video, it's an hour long, but it's a really great source for getting a feel for different pen makers, what their specialties are, how they make their pens, how they polish their pens, the threads, how smooth the threads are. So if I compare these two, you can see that this pen is more polished than this pen from the outside. They both aren't polished from the inside, which is totally fine. But the threads here, and that's something that I am a little miffed about, is that you can see this right here, they don't close as smoothly as they do on here. And so if that's something that I'm really curious about, and maybe I'm going to rewatch Sarah's video if I can't find any San Francisco locals, because I don't think that I would necessarily purchase another Little Pen Designs. I did get that. This one is awesome, but if I had to choose, I would probably support Walltown again. So that's why I have that another Walltown Watts on here, but I think I'm going to amend this or Bone Crusher 7 Studios. I already purchased this pen. I have the Bennu Euphoria Matcha Latte on here. This is one of those pens that I think I will add to my collection at some point. Because it's part of the regular Goulet lineup, I can hold out on this pen until my pen moratorium has passed. And then I will purchase a Sailor Pro Gear in a medium nib. I would love to try. I think I did already, but I can't remember really. I want to try. I need another Sailor 21K in the bigger size fine nib and compare it to the medium fine. I think at the San Francisco Pen Show, Sailor does have these pens to try. And I might, because I don't know what it is. I really love the Sailor 21K bigger nibs. Not the King of Pens. I mean, they're cool too, but they're like extremely expensive. The smaller one, not the Pro Gear slim size nibs, but the Sailor Pro Gear or 1911 large nibs. I really love those. And so I've been considering, like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking I could see if there is something, and that's why I want to try the fine nib, if there is something during the Don't Miss the Boat sale in September, where I could possibly maybe add a fine or a medium fine in the Pro Gear nib size. Because I just really like them. It's so weird. I was so into the Pilot soft nibs, and now I can't get enough of the Sailor nibs. And then I don't really want to try, but that is one of those pens that I'm thinking of. The Opus 88 Omar. To put on, I have two Pilot parallel nibs that I really like. One is a radius nib that was tweaked or ground by John Neal Booksellers, I believe. I will link it in the description box down below. And then the 2.4 millimeter nib is also really amazing. I totally could ink those up permanently and use them, you know. This, where is the February? This was also written with one of those parallels, and it just, isn't it just cool? What I do want to put on that list, especially after the Scribophile thing, is I would love, if I find a vintage Omas, I would love to try the nib, just so I can tell my friend on Discord that I tried it and how it compares to the Scribophile nibs. Yeah. So, is this something that was helpful for you? I do not know. It is definitely something that was helpful for me. I was able to sort my thoughts a little bit more. I will definitely write down all the things that I have said into my journal so I can have a record. And yeah, this is it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope your summer is going well. I will see you when I see you. There might be a slight break in videos. I do have some swatching videos left that I can share. But then I'm all dried out on videos, as I'm not pre-filming anything if there is nothing here to share. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear what's on your wish list right now. Please leave it in the comments down below so I can add to my pens to try list. And I will see you soon. Until then, bye.